looking bright. You right, I'm bitter. You right, I'm triggered.
It's gonna happen in my life, and you're gonna get sad songs because that's
part of life.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's part of life. Sad songs.
But I think now I'm getting into a better place where I'm just like creative with everything. Even when I'm happy, I just am trying to figure out how to turn that into, art.
What really happened to Jhene Aiko? The R&B angel everyone fell in love with was hiding a nightmare behind her ethereal voice.
I really believe in true love.
Right.
I really believe. So every time I've been in a relationship, it was like in hopes for it to be the real thing.
While the world celebrated her comeback and her relationship with Big Sean, Jhene was trapped in a toxic cycle that left her tattooing his face on her arm one year and covering it up the next.
Did you really get a big tattoo on you? Is it real?
It's real.
Is it? Where is it again?
On my arm.
The trauma, the addiction, and the pattern of choosing men who hurt her nearly cost Jhene everything she built. And some say she's still stuck in the same cycle today. So, let's get into it. Long before Jhene Aiko Efuru Chilombo became the ethereal voice of modern R&B, she was just a girl from South Los Angeles trying to find her place in a world that constantly reminded her she was different. Born on March 16, 1988, Jhene entered a family where music was already in the bloodstream. Her mother, Christina Yamamoto, came from Japanese, Spanish, and Dominican heritage, while her father, Dr. Karamo Chilombo, a pediatrician, brought African American, Native American, and German Jewish ancestry to the mix. This unique blend of cultures would later become central to her identity and artistic expression, but growing up, it made her a target for bullies who couldn't understand her mixed-race appearance. When Jhene was just 7 years old, her family's home in South Los Angeles burned down in a devastating fire. The trauma of losing everything forced the family to relocate to an area near Slauson Avenue, around View Park Windsor Hills and Ladera Heights, neighborhoods she would later affectionately call Slauson Hills. The move represented more than just a change of address. It was a complete upheaval of the life young Jhene had known. The instability affected her deeply, making her retreat inward, finding solace in the one thing that made sense to her: music. Her parents divorced when she was young, adding another layer of abandonment and confusion to her childhood experience. She stayed with her mother and siblings, but the absence of her father left a void that would impact her relationships with men for decades to come. Jhene grew up surrounded by siblings who were already making moves in the entertainment industry. Her older sisters, Miyoko and Jamila, known professionally as Mila J, had been members of the R&B group Girl in the 1990s, touring with acts like Immature and providing Jhene with early exposure to the music business. But it was her brother, Miyagi Hassani Ayo Chilombo, who became her closest confidant, her intellectual guide, and the person who understood her in ways no one else could. Miyagi introduced her to new artists, books, and ways of thinking that expanded her creative world. He was more than a brother. He was an extension of herself, a soulmate in sibling form. Their bond would become the most important relationship of her early life, and eventually, its loss would nearly destroy her. Because of relentless bullying about her mixed ethnicity, Jhene was homeschooled for most of her childhood, only attending traditional high school later. The isolation of homeschooling, while protecting her from cruel classmates, also prevented her from developing normal social connections with peers her own age. She learned to live inside her own head, to process emotions through writing and music rather than through healthy relationships with friends and mentors. At age 8, she did something that shocked her teachers and classmates alike. She explained to her third-grade class the explicit meanings behind the lyrics of Lil' Kim's raunchy album, Hardcore. The incident revealed a child who had been exposed to adult content far too early, a pattern that would continue as she entered the music industry at an impossibly young age. By the time she was 12, she was already experimenting with alcohol and substances to escape feelings she didn't know how to process, beginning a relationship with self-medication that would haunt her for years. When Jhené was just 5 years old, her connection to the music industry became official. Her sister's involvement with the R&B group Girl had brought them into contact with producer Chris Stokes, and when he heard young Jhené sing, he recognized something special. By age 12, Jhené was signed to Epic Records and The Ultimate Group, positioned as a vocalist for the teen R&B group B2K. But there was a catch that would set the tone for how the industry would manipulate her image. She was marketed as the cousin of B2K member Lil Fizz, even though they weren't actually related. It was a lie suggested by Sony and Epic Records to promote her through the group and cultivate her own following. The deception forced Jhené to play a role from the very beginning of her career, teaching her that authenticity meant less than marketability in the music business. As a teenager, Jhené appeared in multiple B2K music videos, including their hit Ooh-Huh, and contributed vocals to songs that reached thousands of fans. She also appeared in videos for Orion, Omarion's brother, who would later become her boyfriend and the father of her daughter. Her voice was featured on soundtracks for films like Barbershop, The Master of Disguise, You Got Served, and The Proud Family. At 15, she released a video for her single NOLOVE that debuted on BET's 106 and Park, giving her the thrill of seeing herself on national television. For a teenage girl, it felt like a dream come true. Fame, attention, the validation she had been seeking her entire life. But behind the scenes, the pressure was mounting, and the industry's demands were beginning to take their toll. In 2003, Jhené was set to release her debut album, titled My Name is Jhené, through Sony, The Ultimate Group, and Epic Records. The album had been recorded, promotional materials were prepared, and Jhené was positioned to become the next big thing in teen R&B. But then everything fell apart. Tension at Epic Records, combined with the label's bankruptcy and mismanagement, led to the album being shelved indefinitely. For a 16-year-old girl who had poured her heart into the project, the cancellation was devastating. Jhené made the difficult decision to ask to be released from her record deal, choosing to walk away from music entirely to focus on her education. She enrolled at West Los Angeles College and took vocal lessons in Culver City, trying to imagine a life that didn't revolve around the industry that had chewed her up and spit her out before she even turned 18. But stepping away from music didn't bring the peace she hoped for. Around age 19, Jhené met and began dating Orion, and shortly before she turned 20, she discovered she was pregnant. In an interview, she revealed a moment that captured the industry's exploitation of young women perfectly.
Yeah, so I was sort of like getting back into the swing of things, like recording music, and someone I knew was like, let's have a meeting like with the label, like if you're ready. And I'm like, yeah, whatever.
She had taken a meeting with a label head who told her that to sell herself when walking into these meetings. In that moment, Jhené made a decision that would define her return to music. She decided she would sell herself rather than sell herself, a play on words that became the foundation for her artistic rebirth.
He was like, I've been a fan of yours since you were 13, but I just feel like when you come to these meetings, you have to like sell yourself. And that kind of struck a chord with me because for me, I don't make music to impress people.
On November 19th, 2008, she gave birth to her daughter, Namiko Love Browner. Becoming a mother at 20 changed everything, giving her a purpose beyond fame and forcing her to confront the reality that she needed to provide for her child. On March 16, 2011, Jhene Aiko's birthday, she released a mixtape titled Sailing Souls via her official website. The success of Sailing Souls caught the attention of producer No ID, who signed Jhené to his Artium Recordings label, distributed through Def Jam Records in December 2011. For the first time in her career, Jhené felt like she had found people who understood her artistic vision and weren't trying to package her as something she wasn't. But just as her career was gaining momentum, tragedy struck in the most devastating way possible. On July 19, 2012, her beloved brother Miyagi passed away from an inoperable brain tumor at just 26 years old. He had been diagnosed in 2010 and had turned to Buddhism, maintaining positive spirits throughout his 2-year battle with cancer. Jhené had written a song for him titled "For My Brother," and when her manager played it for Miyagi, he took his last breath and passed away peacefully. The coincidence felt both beautiful and traumatic, as if the song had been his permission to let go. Miyagi's death sent Jhené into a spiral that she barely survived. In interviews, she described being in limbo. On one hand, her career was taking off with the release of songs like Beware with Lil Wayne and Big Sean.
You shot right through my heart. Why you let these hoes tear what we had right apart?
But on the other hand, the person she was closest to in the world wasn't there to experience it with her. Mentally, she was completely lost. She began avoiding her family because seeing them reminded her that Miyagi was gone. She turned to alcohol and increasing frequency, using substances to numb the unbearable pain of grief. Her daughter Namiko, who was only 4 years old, bore the brunt of her mother's depression. Jhené later admitted with guilt that there were times she felt like she wasn't giving her daughter enough attention because she was so out of it and trying to escape everything. The depression was crushing, and without medication or proper therapy, she struggled daily just to keep functioning. It was during this darkest period of her life that Big Sean entered as more than just a collaborator. They had first met in 2012 at a party hosted by producer No ID, and their professional chemistry was undeniable. But Jhené was technically still with Orion at the time, navigating co-parenting and the complicated feelings that came with shared custody of their daughter. When Sean asked her to a Lakers game, she figured, why not? She had never been to a courtside game, and he seemed cool. The next day, trying to avoid drama, she tweeted that she wasn't dating Big Sean, which made him upset. But they maintained a friendship that felt deeper than most of her romantic relationships. Sean was even at Miyagi's funeral, supporting her through the worst moment of her life. That kind of presence, that emotional availability during trauma, created a bond that confused the lines between friendship and something more. By 2013, Jhene Aiko was becoming a household name in R&B circles. Her guest appearance on Big Sean's single Beware, also featuring Lil Wayne, became her first entry on the Billboard Hot 100's Top 40, introducing her to mainstream audiences who had never heard of her mixtape. That same year, she released her debut EP Sail Out through Def Jam, which peaked at #1 on the R&B charts and earned her a Grammy nomination for Best Urban Contemporary Album.
Cause the vapors could save us and take us and make us believe.
Singles like 3:16 a.m., Bed Peace, and especially The Worst showcased her ability to capture complex emotions about toxic relationships with a grace and vulnerability that resonated with millions. The Worst in particular became an anthem for anyone who had ever loved someone who was bad for them, and the song went platinum, cementing Jhené's place in R&B's elite tier. In 2014, she released her major label debut album, Sold Out, which debuted at #3 on the Billboard 200 and sold 70,000 copies in its first week. The album was deeply personal, addressing themes of love, loss, and self-discovery, all heavily influenced by Miyagi's death and her ongoing battle with depression.
If there's one thing that I learned while in those counting lines, is that everything takes time.
But the same year brought another complication to her already messy personal life. she secretly married producer Genius. The marriage was kept so private that many fans didn't even know it happened until 2016, when news of their divorce became public. Those close to the couple noticed red flags from the beginning. The relationship seemed to lack passion, and there were whispers about Dot's use and increasingly erratic behavior. Jhené felt trapped, unable to leave, but miserable staying. Meanwhile, her connection with Big Sean was intensifying in ways that couldn't be ignored. In 2016, they announced a collaborative EP titled 28, and the project's rollout made it clear that something was happening between them.
Too far apart, even if it's just a mile away.
The album's sexy cover photo showed them in an intimate embrace, and the songs explored relationship dynamics with a chemistry that felt too real to be purely artistic. Fans immediately began speculating about their relationship status, but both maintained they were just friends. When they performed together at the Power 106 Powerhouse Festival in Anaheim on June 3, 2016, Sean wrapped his arms around Jhené's waist and ended their set with a passionate kiss that sent social media into a frenzy. Weeks later, in August 2016, Jhené filed for divorce from Genius, citing irreconcilable differences and requesting that the judge deny him any spousal support. The divorce filing triggered a public battle that exposed ugly truths about Jhené's marriage. When fans began questioning her decision and suggesting she had cheated on Dot with Big Sean, Jhené responded on Twitter with cryptic but revealing statements. She wrote that she only cheated herself and that she was glad to be free from all the drugs, depression, and confrontation. She told critics to never let a man disrespect them in any way, strongly implying that her marriage had been unhealthy in ways she couldn't yet fully disclose. The comments led many to speculate that Dot had been though Jhené never explicitly made that accusation. Dot responded on Instagram, denying he had ever been violent or toward any woman, and insisting that the truth would eventually come to light. The divorce was finalized in October 2017, and Jhené walked away without having to pay any spousal support despite Dot's demands. She also walked away with scars that would affect every relationship that followed. By the time Jhené's divorce was finalized in October 2017, she and Big Sean were no longer hiding their relationship. In September 2017, she opened up to Billboard magazine, calling Sean the love of her life. She explained that what made their relationship special was the foundation of genuine friendship they had built over 5 years before becoming romantic. Sean had been there during her brother's death, had supported her through her depression, and had proven himself as someone she could trust. Or so she thought. Just 1 week after her divorce was finalized, Jhené made a decision that shocked everyone. She got a massive tattoo of Big Sean's face on her left arm, depicting him in a bow tie and tuxedo jacket.
Did you really get a Big Sean tattoo on you? Is it real?
It's real.
Is it? Where is it again?
On my arm.
The permanent ink was supposed to symbolize her commitment and belief that their love would last forever. A grand romantic gesture that seemed beautiful in the moment. But the fairy tale didn't last long. By December 2018, just over a year after getting Sean's face tattooed on her arm, Jhené covered it up with an elaborate space and dragon-themed piece. Fans immediately knew what it meant. The relationship was over.
The couple, who have been romantically linked since 2017, got the internet buzzing that the two have split after Jhené covered her famous ink of her BF's face for good.
The tattoo cover-up wasn't subtle. It was a statement, a public erasure of someone who had hurt her so deeply that she couldn't stand to see his face on her body anymore. Sources close to the couple revealed that they had ended things in mid-December, and the insider specifically noted that the breakup wasn't amicable. They had become civil toward each other, but the split had been messy, painful and full of unresolved issues. Jhené and Sean also unfollowed each other on Instagram and deleted all traces of their relationship from social media, the modern equivalent of burning old love letters. The timing of their breakup coincided with something that must have stung Jhené deeply. In November 2018, Ariana Grande released her Thank You Next music video, which included a super flirty shout-out to Big Sean, her ex-boyfriend.
Thought I'd end up with Sean, but it wasn't a match. Wrote some songs.
In her burn book, under a picture of him, she wrote, "So cute, so sweet, can still get it." For Jhené, who had just tattooed this man's face on her arm and was now watching her relationship fall apart, seeing another woman publicly flirt with him and imply he was still desirable must have been humiliating. There was no confirmation about whether Jhené and Sean were still together when the video dropped, but the timing seemed deliberately cruel, and fans wondered if the drama had contributed to their split. In March 2019, Jhené finally publicly confirmed what everyone already knew. She and Big Sean had broken up, but confirmation didn't mean closure. That May, she released Triggered, a raw, emotionally devastating rap where she ran through every feeling typical for someone fresh off a heartbreak: anger, sadness, longing, desire, confusion, and rage.
You motherfucking right, you motherfucking right, I'm bitter. You motherfucking right, I'm triggered.
The lyrics had Sean's name written all over them, even though Jhené insisted it wasn't a diss song. She explained to Essence magazine that she only shared about 1% of her whole being with the internet, and that Triggered represented just one moment in time when she felt that way. She pushed back against fans who heard the song and decided they now hated Sean, explaining that in the grand scheme of things, it was just a moment of anger. But when Sean finally heard the song, according to Jhené, he was stunned, telling her, "Wow, I'm not your friend." His reaction suggested that her anger had cut deeper than he expected, that maybe he hadn't fully understood how much he had hurt her. Just months after releasing Triggered and seemingly moving on from Big Sean, something strange started happening. In July 2019, Sean released a song called Single Again that featured Jhené on background vocals.
I'm single again. Told them that we better off friends.
She supported the record on social media, which prompted Sean to respond publicly with a declaration that read like a love letter. He wrote that he appreciated her support and wanted to say he loved her unconditionally. He called her amazing and talented, noting that every song they did together was special to him. He acknowledged that people would say whatever they wanted, but it is what it is. The message was confusing. Were they back together? Were they just friends? Nobody knew, and neither of them was clarifying. Shortly after, Jhené released her own single None of Your Concern, featuring Big Sean.
And it's none of your concern anymore, none of your concern.
The song's title alone suggested she was trying to establish boundaries, to make it clear that whatever happened between them was private and not for public consumption. In April 2020, Jhené jokingly asked Sean why he didn't marry her, and he responded that it was in the works, telling her not to trip. The exchange was playful but revealed underlying tension. Jhené wanted commitment, wanted the security of knowing he wouldn't leave again, and Sean was giving vague promises about the future. The pattern was classic toxic relationship dynamics: breaking up dramatically, getting back together without addressing the core issues, making grand promises, and repeating the cycle. Friends and family who truly cared about Jhené had to wonder if she was setting herself up for more heartbreak, especially given how devastating the first breakup had been. But she seemed determined to make it work, perhaps because walking away meant admitting that all the pain, the tattoo, the public humiliation had been for nothing. In July 2022, Jhene Aiko and Big Sean made an announcement that shocked and delighted their fans. They were expecting a baby together. For many, this felt like proof that they had finally figured things out, that their love was real and lasting, that this time it would be different. Jhené casually announced the pregnancy by sharing a photo of her younger self holding her stomach with an excited emoji. In November 2022, after 24 hours of labor during a lunar eclipse and rain, their son, Noah Hassani, was born. Sean shared the news on Instagram with touching sentiments about how happy and healthy their baby was, noting that he was everything they could have asked for and more. Noah was Sean's first child, but Jhené's second, and the birth seemed to represent a new chapter, a chance for them to build a family together and finally find stability.
'Cause I know you've been going through some things.
For a while, things seemed different. They were seen together at events, supported each other's careers, and appeared to be functioning as a healthy couple and co-parenting unit. In 2024, Sean surprised fans by joining Jhené on stage during her Magic Hour tour stop in Los Angeles to perform their hit Beware. But during the performance, a moment went viral that revealed all was not well in paradise. As Sean rapped the lyrics about keeping his phone on silent ever since she got a ring, Jhené looked at her bare hand, turned to him, and pointedly asked, "What ring?" The exchange was awkward and tense, with Sean trying not to laugh as he walked over and tapped her hand. Fans immediately began analyzing the moment. Was it a joke? Was Jhené genuinely frustrated about not being engaged? Was this a sign of deeper problems? As Jhene Aiko approaches her late 30s, her legacy in R&B is firmly established. Her 2020 album Chilombo debuted at number 2 on the Billboard 200, selling 152,000 units in its first week and earning 3 Grammy nominations, including Album of the Year. In 2024, her debut, Sold Out, was certified platinum, validating music she created a decade earlier while processing grief and depression. Her ethereal vocals have influenced a generation of R&B artists who cite her as inspiration for their own introspective, healing-focused music. Throughout her struggles, Jhené has emerged as a vocal mental health advocate. In 2022, Los Angeles named her Ambassador for Mental Health is Health, recognizing her openness about anxiety, depression, and substance. Her 2017 album Trip documented her psychedelic journey through grief, visualizing herself in Jukai, the Japanese forest, during a mushroom trip at the height of her mental breakdown. She incorporates sound healing with Tibetan singing bowls into her music and personal life, using specific frequencies to heal physical and emotional pain. She's candid about relapsing on pain pills during hard days. Though her body no longer tolerates it, she launched the WAYS Foundation in 2017 to support mental health awareness, turning personal struggles into activism. Her 2024 Magic Hour tour was successful, with Sean joining at multiple stops. She performed America the Beautiful at Super Bowl 56 in 2022, a full-circle moment. But concerns remain about her relationship with Big Sean. In interviews, Sean deflects marriage questions despite 8 years together. In November 2024, engagement rumors erupted when Jhené wore a diamond ring, but neither confirmed anything. They remain unmarried, continuing cycles of breaking up, reconciling, and avoiding full commitment. Fans wonder if trauma from her past has made her accept less than she deserves. In early 2025, the Palisades fire destroyed Jhené's home, another traumatic loss to overcome. Her story is still being written. Whether she'll find lasting peace or continue navigating toxic patterns remains unclear. What's certain is she survived tragedies that would have destroyed most people, turning pain into art that helps millions survive their own darkest moments. Anyway, that's it for the video, folks. Bye.